It's that time of week, folks. It's the Sunday live start sit show. It is week 5. At this point in the fantasy season, you're 4-0, 0-4. You're struggling. You need to be here right now to get the start sit questions you need to win your fantasy league, folks. And we'll be breaking down the key injuries that are heading into week 5 that you need to know for impacting your starting lineups, not only on offense, but offensive line, defense, whatever you think you need, we got it here. But we're at halftime of the Giants game. We're going to be riding with you all the way up till kickoff. So let's get the show started. All right, folks, here it is. We got the quad box today. We got Matthew Styles over there. You can follow him at Styles08 on Twitter. You also got a new face down at the bottom, Derek. Derek, I'm probably going to mess up your last name. I'm sorry, man. Derek, just give us, what's your last name?
Favre.
Favre. It's like Brett Favre. It's actually the right way to say it. I like
That's
it.
right.
I like
That's
that.
exactly right.
Derek _Favre. And then also Sky Gawasko. You can follow him at Sky Gawasko, who's going to be leading the ship. So, Sky, I'm kicking it over to you, buddy. What's going on, man?
Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be back for another week of Start Sits here. Matt and I had a wonderful show last week and during the London game as well. And Bob, I just want to throw it out real quick. You had mentioned just so casually it's halftime of the Giants game, as if everybody here's big time Giants fans, and then it's 8 a.m. on the West Coast. I don't want to say it's rude per se, but I'm pretty sure we have at least a Packers fan on the books today as well. So the Packers and Giants going at it, a little internal flames here on the show today. I'm very excited about that. So Packers Giants at halftime. We got all of your questions. Feel free to load those in to our comment section. We'll get to as many as possible per usual. And a quick reminder to everybody tuning in already, make sure, of course, to leave your league settings. That helps us out tremendously. And if you have trade questions, if you can give us any back end context, that helps a lot, because you hear us kind of fumbling sometimes because we're trying to talk through too many scenarios that may not even be relevant. So once again, as Bob mentioned, please make sure to subscribe right here to the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Leave a rate and review, hit the bell. You can also download the podcast. The Sunday live shows are not streamed on the podcast, but all of our other episodes are, and you can catch that while you're walking the dog, driving to work, doing the dishes, what have you. It's a great opportunity to catch up on our content. And, of course, so many articles, most of them free on razzball.com. You can check us out. All right, enough morning banter here. Bob, why don't you get us kicked off here with a quick injury update? And before we get into that, let's do a quick little recap of the first half here. I want to talk about some Graham Gano and Randall Cobb.
Yo, by the way, Cobb, what the heck is going on with Randall Cobb right now? We were just talking about this pre-show. The guy has 5 catches in the first half. I have a player prop right now of Allen Lazard, 4 receptions, and he's fine, but I'm not really
halfway there.
With Randall Cobb. Not really happy with what's going on with Randall Cobb right now. He's throwing jump balls down the seam to Randall Cobb. Like, Randall Cobb's like 5'8", and Aaron Rodgers like, it's London. Let's go, like, just deep pass down the seam, and Cobb's trying to jump over a young whippersnapper that's like 10 years younger than him. Like, what is happening right now? The only thing Allen Lazard's good for this offense is a quick out for 2 yards for a touchdown, and which is fine for fantasy. We'll take those. Yeah, he got a touchdown. Lazard's got in the end zone this week. That we're good. But other than that, it's just been, as a Giants fan, as you can tell, like every year, I gotta like diversify a little bit here. I realize I have too many Giants. I got to like ease it in a little more. Maybe have like throw in like a San Francisco 49er. Shout out to the Packers too. I think I got a Brett Favre jersey somewhere. But overall, as a Giants fan, I'm pleasantly surprised that we're hanging in. But it just seems like it's inevitable that the Packers are going to win this game.
Yeah, it's definitely an avalanche in the second half coming. The industry had Saquon Barkley across the board, the number 1 running back on the week. And when I was doing my rankings, it just didn't feel good. So I dropped him down to number 3, and that's hurting as well. I'm just kicking myself. I can't believe I start, I have Justin Jefferson ranked higher than Randall Cobb this week. That's not looking good so far. Matt, what are your thoughts on the first half?
I'm just about ready to just click the sign off button. Bobby with the Randall Cobb hate, and then you just pile on with it. You know what I mean? We don't get paid enough for me to sit here.
True.
this. So.
That's a fact. That is a fact. I cheers to that. Not getting paid enough.
Yeah, and so if the bosses were online right now, I'd hit them with a private chat and tell them how absolutely irritated I was.
Maybe it's an HR. It's an HR complaint, perhaps.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A little harassment.
Equal employment opportunity, right? Why is the Randall Cobb getting the disparaging comments this morning? So,
Sure.
And guess what? If he goes off in the first half, it means he's got to be in the locker room sucking down an IV, hoping to get back out there for the second half. So it's a Lazard second half. And you know what? I talked about this guy before. He's made me look silly so far. It's probably going to be A.J. Dillon closing this thing down again like he did last week. So maybe he finds the end zone once in the first half of the NFL season. Maybe he doesn't. But yeah, I'm not going to. I'll give you both one more chance at the Randall Cobb discussion. And in fact, I'm good if you don't bring him up again.
Perfect. Derek, thoughts on the first half so far?
Well, I'm going to bring him up because I can't stand this.
Well, you still have 2 chances, so you're good.
That's right. No, he must have found the fountain of youth over there across the Atlantic somewhere because he's frankly he's put more on the field on tape the first half than he has practically all year, and that's good enough for me. You know, I'd rather see Dobbs and Lazard all second half. But I agree. I think the running backs Jones and Dillon are going to probably take over here in the second half and sprinkle in a little bit to the wide receivers. Hopefully Lazard. I've got some Lazard action going on, so I'd like to see Bobby hit his prop and.
Thank you.
That would yes. I'm all about the family. All about
Derek,
the family.
Those kind of comments will get you back on the show anytime. My friend.
That's right.
I like it. Always hit those props.
All about the family.
And with Aaron Rodgers, it always comes down to matchups, right? And hit Bob Tunyon for a nice little play there toward the end of the first half, and basically it's the guy that's open, right? And if they're ganging up on Lazard or Dobbs, and Randall Cobb's open in this particular matchup, they're going to make those bigger plays there. So Packers are playing well so far. Giants are doing their best to stay above water, but we'll see what happens in the second half. Bob, we're getting a couple of questions gearing up here. Can you please give us a rundown of our Week 5 injury report? Just kind of let us know how we're looking now. And, of course, we'll have updates as we get them moving across the show here leading up to kickoff.
And I've got one thing to say before Bob goes and does that. I know he's got a player on this list when he switches the screen. Just know that with Kyle Pitts being out, your team is going to go down by 3 points a week. So just be real careful. Sure. Any other tight end you start in the NFL right now, unless we're counting blocks, is better than Kyle Pitts right now.
Yeah, tough loss this week.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
It's take the ticker off when you have a second Sky. That'd be great. All right, so let's just get into it right now. By the way, when I'm digging through these injuries and some of these things, by the way, you're going to see something called SICScore.com on here. I just want to make sure everyone knows and understands that sportsinjurycentral.com. It's a fantastic website that actually evaluates teams as a whole and actually looks at, it's like 4 quad box, just Bob. Perfect. Awesome. But this is really cool and really fun because I want to bring that up because it really evaluates defenses and offenses as a whole, and they rates their score. So 1 to 100. So anything in the 60s is horrific. So when you see SIC Score and you see 60s, I highlighted those because that's matchups to exploit. You want to attack the defenses that are really banged up. And the best part, too, is they break it out by pass and run defenses. So let's get into it. Starting at the top, of course, Matt, just on his game already. The first one, Kyle Pitts and Cordarrelle Patterson is out today against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're going to see a heavy dose of Anthony Ferkser in this one. Drake London will probably see most of the pass attempts in this game. I think Marcus Mariota, and then we'll struggle. Obviously, if Kyle Pitts can't get it done, Anthony Ferkser probably. And I'm excited to see a 5 for 50 from Ferkser, and then I'll retire from Razzball officially if that happens. Cordarrelle Patterson is out, so Tyler Algier will get to start. You see Caleb Huntley as well in the backfield. Those guys will probably be splitting the work, but Tyler Algier is probably the front man against a Tampa Bay run defense, by the way, who's going to be missing one of their stout defensive tackles, Akeim Hicks. Cameron Brate on the other side is out. Cade Otto, whatever. So the backup tight end, the rookie tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is actually someone I find interesting. He actually ran a decent amount of routes last week because of the injury to Cameron Brate. Go ahead, Matt.
Cade Otton.
Got Otton. See that he's like the coolest thing is it's behind the scenes, so it sounds like God's talking to me. Like it's Cade Otton, and it's perfect. So it's awesome. So thank you, Matt, for breaking down the pronunciation. on that one. So he's going to be jumping in, the rookie, very talented kid. He actually ran a decent amount of routes. He was 4th on the team in routes last week. So I am someone that interested, maybe a DFS dart throw. I'm not sure if I'm going to jump him in my season-long lineups there as well. Stud cornerback Jaylen Johnson for the Bears is out today. That's a slight bump for Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen in that matchup because he is probably their best cornerback. Of course, Treylon Burks out. He's officially on IR as well. Someone that I really like this week is Robert Woods. The Washington Commanders allow a lot of fantasy points out wide. He was featured on our show yesterday as a great matchup. So look for Robert Woods to get a wide receiver 3 consideration this week because of the Treylon Burks injury. Now here it comes. The SICScore.com Titans DST is at 72.5. They're really banged up. This is a good news for a team like the Commanders, who, by the way, have struggled the last 2 weeks, have injuries on the offensive line. But I do think that this game could be a surprising shootout, especially because of the injuries for the defensive side for the Titans. So look for guys like now Terry McLaurin, for example, who without Jahan Dotson, who's featured in this, who's out today, maybe Terry McLaurin finally has that signature week that he's been missing the first month of the season. So I like Terry McLaurin in your DFS lineups this week. Washington will be down, like we just talked about, 2 key offensive linemen this week. So, watch that. Plus Brian Robinson, by the way, featured in, we'll talk about very, very rare we talk about in these shows. He's in the lineups today, folks. So you're going to have Robinson, McKissick, and Gibson in the lineup. So if you're starting Antonio Gibson in a lot of leagues, you might want to sit him down to see how things shake out because Robinson will be on the field. They said about 20 snaps in today's action. The Chargers, meanwhile, going to Cleveland today will be without Keenan Allen and stud left tackle Rashawn Slater. They are both out today. Look for Mike Williams to have a nice solid day against the Cleveland Browns, who allow a lot of fantasy points out wide this season. Going Joey Bosa, when a stud defensive end, is out today. It's slightly bumped up for Jacoby Brissett and that Cleveland Browns offense, who won't have to face Joey Bosa. Now, here's another one. Browns run D, SIC Score 56.5. That is insane. I'm going to just give you context. Most teams are in the mid-80s, okay? So this run defense is completely shattered. Austin Eckler, folks, coming off a monster week last week. I think you guys shot and hit another big week this week. Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston, folks, are out today. So that's, you're going to get Andy Dalton. As a fellow Ginger, I'm super stoked, folks. Honk the horns for your fellow Gingers. Let's go, Andy. Got Andy and Cooper Rush. I don't know the last time. Here's a fun fact. NFLstats.com. Figure this out. When was the last time 2 Gingers started a game in the same week? I want to know that answer right now. So Andy Dalton will get to start today. Look for a lot of Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry in this matchup. Steelers pass D, first of all, SIC Score 51.4. Holy bejesus, folks. That is pretty low. So that means that you're going to want to get Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen in your lineups, maybe even DFS as well. But look at Isaiah McKenzie. McKenzie coming back from the concussion. Trust me, I have a lot of Isaiah McKenzie. I'm itching to hear the final results if he's actually cleared today. Haven't heard anything. If we hear it, we'll have it updated on the show immediately. But attack that Steelers pass D. Get those Stephon Diggs player props, folks. I think it's 6.5. Get him in there as well. And on the flip side, ironically enough, the pass D for the Buffalo Bills, SIC Score 63.4. Now, Kenny Pickett in his first matchup, first career start. Good news is he's facing a very banged up Bills secondary. So I like George Pickens a lot. He looks like to be the guy who has the connection with a player like Kenny Pickett. So I think that I'm excited for that as well. Now, Sky, I'm gonna kick it over. It looks like we got some questions rolling in here. So why don't we just kick it over to those questions, and then I'll jump back into the injuries.
You got it. Let me get everybody back in the mix here. Just wanted to make sure that we were good to go. And all right, looks like Matt, you're on your own mic there. All right, first of all, I just want to get a fact check on this. We'll bring this one to NFL Stats as well. Quote, Bobby Lamarco is the man. Fun fact, Bobby was the second best quarterback to ever play in Greek week at York College. Bob, can we have a little bit of background, please?
First of all, it's not true at all. So, I was in a fraternity at college, and in Greek week, essentially we played football. And we basically had a full-on football game, and I completely dominated. But ironically enough, my center, who's my burner account, James Gannon, actually, me and him fumbled our first exchange ever. I actually tried to take it under center like a weirdo. He's like, back up and take it out of shotgun. I fumbled the first snap. I was my first time playing because our team was dominant for years. We basically dominated Greek week football for years, and everyone was telling me how great the quarterback was. They were all rugby guys. They ran the football. Please, I was the most pure pocket passer ever in Greek life history, folks. Back-to-back championships in football. So I disagree. I guess if it was a college recruiting, I would be the pro-style quarterback, and then the other kid before me would win the dual threat. So we're both 1-1. in each. So that's breaks that down. But thanks, Jay. Appreciate the shout out.
All right, let's get to James Gannon. Let's get to his question here. All right, half PPR. Pick one: Hunter Renfrow, Khalil Herbert, and Kareem Hunt. So again, this is like a flex position here. Half PPR. Matt, we'll start with you.
Hunter Renfrow back at 100% in a shootout Monday night. Give me Hunter Renfrow.
All right, Derek.
Yeah, the half point PPR normalizes this a little bit for me. Normally, I would say Hunter Renfrow in that shootout, but I'm keeping an eye on Montgomery's status. If Montgomery is out, then I am definitely going Herbert here. Herbert's getting 40-plus snaps when Montgomery's out and up to 10, 15 targets. So if Montgomery's out, I'm definitely going Herbert. If not, then I'm going to lean Renfrow.
Bob?
Montgomery is in officially, folks. He's going to be playing today. I apologize I haven't got to that one yet, but he's actually active today. So that is notable. So I think Herbert is out in my opinion. Now, listen, the team that's allowed the second highest rate of points to the slot is the Kansas City Chiefs. That's where Hunter Renfrow makes his living. However, I am going to go Kareem Hunt here. The Chargers' run defense is nothing special, and I do think that Hunt has a very special role in that offense. And I think the Chargers will put up points, and I think Hunt will be involved. So I'm going to go Kareem Hunt, slightly ahead of Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I appreciate the note there on David Montgomery. Man, I'm going back and forth. I've tried to stall as long as I could on this one because I'm kind of going back. If Hunter Renfrow is healthy, I mean, he could get that, 8 targets. But Mac Hollis has emerged. Somehow Josh Jacobs is running somewhat effectively. And on prime time, we know Devontae Adams is going to have 15 targets on Monday. So I'm going to lean Hunter Renfrow in this one. But Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt seem to alternate big games. One of them has a big game. The other one doesn't. Nick Chubb's been on an absolute roll lately. But I do think the Chargers put up points. So it could be a Kareem Hunt game. But I like Hunter Renfrow coming back. James, thanks for tuning in. If that is your real name, and any personal information you'd like to share about Bob is welcome on the program. Just let's keep it PG-13, please.
Hey, and Sky, let me point something out. James, right? He says fun fact, and then he gives you the fact about Bobby, but you notice he doesn't say fun fact that Bobby is the man. So that is up for discussion.
That is true.
Wow.
That is true.
Wait a see, that's elite journalism. That's reading between the lines. That's what you're going to get at razzball.com, folks. Make sure to go to our website, check out all of our content, read between the lines. Love it, Bob. Can we get an update on David Montgomery and the rest of the crew again, please?
Yeah, so David Montgomery is in today. I did check that out earlier. He's going to give it a go, so you're going to probably see a backfield split between him and Herbert. I do have a bunch of ins. Let's get back into all these, though. So this is another one, too. So we talked a little bit about that Bills pass D that's really banged up. But Jamison Crowder and Dawson Knox are both out today. This is why I'm really hanging my hat on some Isaiah McKenzie if he's active. I know we talked a little bit about Khalil Shakur, the rookie, as well. If for example, Isaiah McKenzie is not in today, I actually like Gabe Davis. Give me a lot of Stephon Diggs in DFS. I also like Gabe Davis as well. Call me crazy. I don't know if I'm going to buy Shakir just yet. So if McKenzie is not active, I'm going to lean into getting Gabe Davis into my lineups. On a minor note for the Texans, Brevin Jordan and Chris Moore are out today. Those don't sound like big-time names, but those are the ancillary pieces behind Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins. Now, look for Brandon Cooks to have a nice day against Jacksonville, who has a lot of fantasy points out wide in fantasy football. But also, here's a nugget. O.J. Howard last week ran the third most routes on the Texans, saw a decent amount of targets. If you're really desperate for a tight end play, O.J. Howard might be in play with Brevin Jordan out. Tua, of course, Tagovailoa is out today. Look for Teddy B to kind of ping the ball around. Now, the biggest difference between Teddy B and Tua is Teddy's more conservative, won't throw the ball downfield. But from PPR aspect, expect him to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle. Both those receivers, by the way, are banged up. One dealing with a quad injury, and Tyreek Hill and Waddle's been dealing with a leg injury as well. Both about 75% according to SICScore.com. But you're going to have them in your lineups absolutely against that New York Jets secondary. The Lions offense, banged up. I put that in there for a reason. No DeAndre Swift today. A couple injuries on the offensive line. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he's going to play today, folks. That's pretty exciting news that broke just earlier this morning, that Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to give it a go. Seen about 75% against that New England Patriots secondary. By the way, New England is a slot funnel defense, so they do a lot more fantasy points to the slot. So I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Of course, it's hard to sit the guy. He's an absolute stud going into this game. Now, Hoyer and Mac Jones are both out, so you're going to see the third stringer today Zappy is going to be playing for them. He looked pretty good last week, but he might be tentative. Obviously, I'm not sure I'm going to be starting many of the players in that skilled position group outside of the running game. I love Stevenson and Harrison this week. They should have monster weeks, but maybe temper your expectations for Jacoby Myers and company. Jonnu Smith is out. I just heard a horn. All right, Matt. So Jonnu Smith is out today. So that's good news for Hunter Henry. Obviously, I know the Bailey Zappi situation kind of complicates this just a little bit, but the good news is if you're desperate for a tight end, Hunter Henry is going to get all the work because Jonnu Smith is out. The 49ers, shout out to Sky Gawasko, Armstead and Kinlaw, 2 stud defensive tackles, are out today. That's Christian McCaffrey. I'm not 100% sure. Finally found the end zone last week. I'm a little concerned about Christian McCaffrey long-term. This offense has looked like a train wreck, but the good news is the 49ers will be down 2 of their top defensive linemen, so that should help his matchup. The Rams, down 3 offensive linemen. Obviously, Matthew Stafford has struggled this year. Allen Robinson has struggled, but Cooper Kupp just keeps on running, and Tyler Higbee's been solid. But with the 3 offensive linemen out all on the interior, I actually don't mind the Cowboys defense this week because of that. I think they're going to get after Stafford a decent amount today, so I wouldn't shy away from the Dallas Cowboys D if needed. Carl's run D is very banged up, very low SIC score that you'll find online. So, if you're looking for Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts on the ground today, I think Miles Sanders has a very nice day against that really banged up Cardinals run D. Ravens D as a whole, SIC score 68, one of the lowest on the week. They're banged up everywhere. Try your best. Obviously, Joe Mixon auto start, T. Higgins auto start, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, get them all into your lineups. But yesterday's show, Tyler Boyd came up, and DT loves some Tyler Boyd. He likes that as an option this week. Rashad Bateman is also out this week. Devin Duvernay is your rational start if you want to pick up somebody from the Ravens offense to compete with that Bengals offense, but I think it's just a healthy dose of Mark Andrews in this matchup. Let's run through some ins for this one, folks. So we got Tony Pollard in today. CeeDee Lamb is in. Rondale Moore in. Zay Jones in. We also have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We just brought up our in officially. David Montgomery we talked about. Amon-Ra St. Brown in as well. Russell Gage is in. Logan Thomas is out today, folks. So look for John Bates to take over tight end. But this is another feather in the cap maybe for Terry McLaurin as Jahan Dotson and Logan Thomas are out. So maybe Logan McLaurin is a better DFS play than we thought. And currently Julio Jones is a game time decision. Back to you, Sky Gawasko.
Well done, my man. Get a water break. Matt, I can't go any further without knowing what that horn was about. Give it to me, brother.
Yeah, so let's start by letting Bobby know that we're going to do what we want with the horn. The horn has no boss, right? When Graham Gano makes a field goal, what happens, Sky? So we have 3 points on the board for the Giants. That's what happens when you give Sky the entire joystick for the weekend.
There it is.
The horn just happens, and I will tell you what. The fans have reached out and they've said 2 words, Sky. More
horn. Yeah. It's pretty much the slogan of Razzball at this point here.
It's going to be a hashtag. It's going to go viral real soon.
Aaron Pierce joining. Good morning. Good morning to you, good sir. Thank you for joining us here.
Twitter account has made an appearance.
That's right. Another West Coaster. So anyone joining us, let's see. Well, it's 8:30 now. We're getting long in the tooth, but usually it's about 7 a.m. on this side of the fence. And so I appreciate you guys. There it is. Look at this. Not a burner account. Boom. My James Gannon coming in hot here with the love the horns. Immediate true facts. That's right. Hey, Bob, I got a question for you.
So
I didn't hear a lot about Alvin Kamara, and I apologize if I missed that. What's the updates on Alvin Kamara, and are we worried overall about the potential Aints offense here?
Alan Lazard just got his 3rd catch of the game. Let's go. Alvin Kamara is in today. The good news is his rib injury. So Dr. David Chow talks a lot about how they just basically get an injection, basically a rib block, essentially it's a pain tolerance issue. So there's that. Derek, I can hear you typing right now.
Yeah, I'm telling our horn operator to buzz it when Lazard gets his 4th catch. So you hit the 5.
No, it's 4.5. So
4.5. All right,
we have to get to 5.
Make it 5. Make it 5.
Yeah. So Kamara should be in. I think a lot of this stuff. The good news is it is a rib injury, so it's a pain tolerance issue, and he will be fine and set to go to play. I think the bigger concerns really for that Saints offense, of course, is no Winston, no Michael Thomas. how good. I mean, Andy Dalton is a nice backup quarterback, but it's not going to be a shootout. But he's playing the Seattle Seahawks, by the way, who are just atrocious, terrible against running backs. We just saw what Jamal Williams did to them last week. So I think from that standpoint, I have Kamara in my lineups if I have him, but he should be a go. I also got an update. Julio Jones is out today. So it looks like it's going to be Mike Evans. You're also going to have Chris Godwin and Russell Gage as your 3 receiver set. Looks like Godwin will be playing in the slot. So I know a lot of Russell Gage has been a lot of in and out stuff. So I do think that from this matchup, I like Godwin and I like Evans a lot. Tom Brady's in most of my DFS lineups this week. He has completely crushed the Atlanta Falcons' career. Aaron Rodgers taking a deep shot to Romeo Doubs, incomplete. All right. Now, Sky, let's get into it. While we're still waiting for some more questions to come in, let's start talking a little bit about the tools and resources over at Razzball.com. And this is a good opportunity while the people are on watching us right now to talk about some of the things we have on the site. First off, we have the slot versus wide data that we have on Razzball.com. We also have information on how many fantasy targets each defense allows to each position. So I'm going to do a quick share screen. And I'm going to get everyone to see this, but you guys should definitely go to Razzball.com. This has been a great tool and resource for all of us, really, to help us start sit questions. A lot of us use this for our start sit answers on this show. So if you go to the player usage data over there as well. So let's just quickly do I know I told you guys pre-show that I was going to start next week, but it looks like we need to do this right now. Let's get into it. Sky, I know you look at this a decent amount. Do you have any players that you kind of stood out to you in the slot versus wide metric this week?
Well, y'all talked about it yesterday. You and DT talked about, the Raiders come up each week, and now we're starting to get more data in general. You had mentioned earlier some slot funnel offenses or slot funnel defenses, rather. So I am excited about, it's kind of weird, but Devin Duvernay, I think, is somebody that I'm excited about without Rashad Bateman if you're kind of stuck. We don't have bye weeks yet, but next week bye weeks start, and we are going to start slotting in players that we don't want to. Amon-Ra St. Brown you would play anyway, but that's definitely a player that I'm extra excited about in DFS. I like Tyler Boyd, maybe to resurrect here in this week as well. Could potentially get a lot more work also there. So the slot versus wide tool is so important, I think, because it doesn't necessarily keep the big dogs off, right? Like if some team is dominant versus outside wide receivers, you're not going to bench a Devontae Adams or somebody, right? He plays a lot of slot too, though. I guess it's a bad example, but like Justin Jefferson or whatever, Jamar Chase, you're going to play him anyway. But what it does for me is it changes out my flex positions, my third wide receivers. It helps me kind of decipher between, a Devin Duvernay and George Pickens or something like that. I might look at the matchup and what that particular defense does and maybe make a choice between an outside wide receiver and a slot receiver. So this is something that I use every single week. Bob and DT do a great job of breaking this down and kind of explaining this, but this is a free tool for everybody to use at Razzball.com. So please make sure to do that. And I know we'll go through the rest of our tools, but Matt and I had talked a little bit about this as well when we break down our Tuesday episode, which is his waiver article and my trade article. And we kind of talk about slot versus wide a little bit there as well, which helps us kind of make some of our decisions of targets both on the waiver and through trade. So this is a great article. And throughout the industry, there's little to no, in-depth information on this particular topic. And it's very useful for me and my fantasy teams.
Hey, Sky, real quick. So let's say you're the normal fantasy player, right? You're in 3, 4, 5 leagues, and you have that flex or that third wide receiver question. So from a layman's perspective, how do you determine which guy to start by using the sheet that you've provided there, right? So there are probably a group of folks out there that are looking at this, but not necessarily comfortable with what the data means and what each of the columns represents and how they can decide that Tyler Boyd is a better start than Lazard or than Dobbs or, of course, you're not sitting Higgins, you're not sitting Chase, you're not sitting Devontae Adams. Those names are always in, but for those middling names, how do you use this information column by column to help you decide on that wide receiver 3 or that flex position?
That's a great call. So just for example, and Bob, if you wouldn't mind assisting me as you have control, can you hit the slot per game allowed and just get me to the least amount? One more. Just hit it one more time, please, so it can just go to the top there. And All right, perfect. So this tells me that so the defense, Cleveland, Houston, the Giants, whatever, they've allowed essentially, 5, 6, 7 points on average moving forward. So there's something like, let's say, let's go with Minnesota here and go with Chicago, right? If they had a secondary receiver, that would matter for me. You have Jahan Dotson if he were in, but he's out. Denver already played. The slot receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, maybe that's Chase Claypool at this point, right? Houston, that could be Brandon Cooks playing on the inside as well. And then you have Jacksonville with DJ Chark out, right? And then you have the Chargers up at the top going against Cleveland. That could be a little bit tough. So if Keenan Allen was in, and it might be DeAndre Carter at this point, that would be somebody that I might look to fade and go elsewhere. Probably not Keenan Allen, but somebody else on that squad, because Cleveland has been so dominant against the slot. And if you can flip it, Bob, please. Flip it to the top there and just give me the top ranks. There you go. So the Raiders, the Ravens, the Panthers, the Chiefs, the Chargers, etc., have actually been much more lenient against the wide receiver position. So that's why we were talking about Hunter Renfrow coming back, right? He's been out a couple weeks with a concussion. Now he comes back. The Chiefs are number 4 here. They've given up about 15.5 points per game in fantasy, and now they get Hunter Renfrow, who I would argue is an elite slot-specific wide receiver in the NFL. And if they're a little bit tougher against the outside, then I would be looking at Hunter Renfrow as a must-start at the slot position potentially. So over, maybe that Chargers receiver or whatever. And I know it's kind of a bad example this week because a lot of those top slot guys just aren't relevant with those particular teams. But this is how you can read it here, is basically what they're able to give up in the slot percentage and out wide as well. So for me, Hunter Renfrow stands out and jumps off the page here as somebody I want. And then again, Chris Godwin is somebody you're probably going to play, but because he's been hurt for a couple of weeks, he had 10 targets last week, but he wasn't very effective necessarily. But going up against Atlanta, who he crushes anyway over his career, they're number 7, giving up. Yeah, absolutely crushes. So that's going to be somebody I'm looking for as well.
Just want to jump in here quick too. So some of the things that we want to talk about here as well. What we're just, basically, but when I say we, I mean me in my lab, and I'm like the mad scientist in the back end here, trying to think of ideas. We're actually starting next week, going to have the actual player fantasy points slot versus wide broken out. So you'll be able to see the actual players, how many fantasy points they actually have per week in the slot versus wide and their percentages. So then you can use that along with this tool to figure out, so for example, the Raiders allow the highest amount of fantasy points. Sky just said something earlier. Well, that could help, like in the Houston matchup, maybe Brandon Cooks has a bump. Well, now starting next week, we're actually going to have to show you how many fantasy points in the slot Brandon Cooks averages. So let's say he averages 5 in the slot, 10 out wide, and his percentage is 33%. That's going to give you an opportunity now to match this with this. And just another extra fact, we're going to have a rest of season strength of schedule starting next week. We're going to let you know who has the best slot and out wide rest of season schedules. So that's going to be good for trade analysis, anything you want to do for, if you're looking to pick up a player off waivers. This is another tool we're going to have, so we're super excited. But Derek, let's kick it on to you, man. Anything you think about for the slot versus wide? Any initial thoughts and or players you want to highlight?
Well, I use this for myself, and just like Sky said, Chris Godwin really jumped out to me, as well as Renfrow. I've got a lot of shares of Godwin across all my lineups, and not that that's a hard choice to put him in now that he's healthy, but just looking at this this lineup, this tool just reaffirms that, because if you follow the Bucs and Brady, especially when Brady was there, Evans, Godwin, Evans, which one do you pick? Because one of them's going to go off and the other one, may have a good game. But I'm really super high on Godwin today. In fact, I've got him in my DFS lineups as well. So I really use this tool not only for my season long, but also my DFS. It's fantastic.
Matt, let's kick it to you as well. How are you feeling about the slot versus wide tool?
Yeah, so I told you, I think it was maybe Tuesday when we were on Sky, when we had a couple of folks that we were chatting back and forth with, and I gave credit to Bob, and I hate to do it now that Bob's listening, but Derek and I split a home league team, and we had CEH before we traded him. We'll get to that trade a little bit later, which you're going to absolutely love. But we had CEH in the lineup until we read and looked at Bob's information. And that was the week that Hollywood Brown was slated to go up against a terrible pass defense. and not necessarily the front seven, but the folks that, are covering receivers and the routes that Hollywood runs. That week in our league, Hollywood Brand had 31 fantasy points. And it all came down to just the analysis that Bob and DT had put together. So it was a simple look at the list. Arizona's opponents at the top of the list. We switch out CEH for.
I can't believe McKenzie's out today.
And call it a day. And it was easy, right? The information is there. You just need to know how to use it. And then it was a flex position, just like you said, Sky. So it wasn't the bet. We weren't a fan of the decision as we made it until we looked at the analysis, and then we became much more comfortable with making that move.
One thing I'm going to be hopeful for this week, and Bob, you can chime in a little bit here. One thing I'm going to be hopeful for is you look at the number 3 for everybody tuning in here. Number 3, that's Carolina defense, and you're going with the San Francisco 49ers. I'm a Niner fan, obviously. I need to see Debo do it again. I'm not expecting a 78-yard touchdown with 6 broken tackles after Jimmy G tried to throw another pick 6. I'm just looking for 8-9 targets for 80-90 yards because he can play the slot and dominate. And if it's not him, Brandon Ayuk. But that's something I want to see from the 49ers with consistency in this offense, and they have an opportunity to do that. Again, a lot of people blew me up last week and were so excited about Debo, and I put him in my trade away section of my article because I felt like this is the peak. He's going to have these massive plays because the guy's a truck and he can knock people down and he can score, long touchdowns. That's awesome. But it's consistency you want at your wide receiver position, and I want to see it again from Deebo Samuel. So again, just a quick, we've been focusing on the slot. If you want to talk wide as well, Bob, we can kind of change that conversation, I guess. But really, it's just about how, layman's terms on how to use this sheet. I pretty much use, the total is pretty self-explanatory. It's how many fantasy points that team is giving up, basically. The slot is important for particular players, right? And then out wide, another set of particular players. Of course, there's many players that go back and forth there. Slot percentage, wide percentage, and then the next opponent is nice. Who are they playing? What does that team look like? How is that defense versus that opponent? This is a great tool. It's free to use, folks. Go to Razzball.com. Check this out. Bob does a ton of analysis and inputting on this all week long. Matt, again, writes the weekly waiver article. I write a buy low, sell high trade article as well. You can find all that content on Razzball.com. Looks like Robert Fisher has joined the chat when we're ready for him. Go ahead.
Sky, just quick update. Isaiah McKenzie is officially inactive today, so will be Khalil Shakur manning that slot. Just honestly, I'm telling you right now, it's all going to be Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. I'm just get your player. I guarantee you, Stephon Diggs player props probably through the roof now. Disappointing that Isaiah McKenzie is not going to be active today, but if you're looking for a DFS start, though, Khalil Shakur is probably your guy, but I'm probably leaning more into Diggs and Gabe Davis this week. Maybe some Devin Singletary in the passing game, but that's the latest update. I'll have more of the inactives shortly. Sky, back to you.
I love it. All right, Bob, you can keep us abreast to the situation there with the injuries. Let's jump down here. Robert Fisher has jumped in. I want to make sure we get to the questions as they come in. Once again, everybody, tune in and we appreciate you. Happy Sunday morning, football Sunday fun day. Please feel free to join in and drop your questions as we go along here. We are kind of tuning in as well to the Packers game. So if you're checking that out in London and you're interested in watching that with us and you like to tune in as well for your fantasy teams, jump in here to the comment section. And again, when possible, please leave us a half PPR, full PPR, super flex, weird bonus scoring, whatever it is, tight end premium. That helps us help you make the best decisions. So Robert, please, my man, in the future, please jump in here and let us know if it's half, full PPR, what have you. This looks like a flex position. We appreciate you. All right, Robert, here we go. So Aljair or Corey Davis at the flex. Bob is the house Corey Davis fan for like 9 years. We got to start with you here. Corey Davis, Aljair. Of course, we got Patterson, as you had mentioned earlier. And, maybe we got Huntley getting a little more work as well, but they're playing up against the Buccaneers. And then Corey Davis starting to resurface a little bit. And Robert just tuned in. Appreciate you. This is half PPR, gentlemen. Bob, we'll start with you. Tyler Algier, Corey Davis at the flex, half PPR.
I'm going to go Algier. I think the Davis, it's a cop-out answer, but it's like a Russian roulette at the Jets receiver position. Honestly, you have no idea who's going to be this week. So, yeah, sure, play Corey Davis against Miami, I guess. but like I don't know who it's going to be weekend. The one thing I will say, this is just hyperbole, whatever. Corey Davis seems to be Zach Wilson's guy. That just seems to be the case. Maybe that's a thing, but I'm going to go Algier this week. He's probably set for double-digit touches. Tampa Bay's run defense has not been as imposing as it was in years past, so I am going to go with Algier.
And again, there, Cordarrelle Patterson out for the Atlanta Falcons, as Bob had reported earlier. All right, Derek, we'll go down to you. Algier, Corey Davis, half PPR.
Corey Davis for me. Yeah, Corey Davis for me. Zach Wilson, he's not Robo Flacco throwing 60 times a game, but he did target Davis 6 times, just like Bobby said. He seems to be a favorite for Zach Wilson. I'm about that. The Bucs may not be what they once were, but Algiers is in London really are the only weapons whatsoever for the Falcons today. And, the rookie getting his first, major start. Sure, the volume will be his, but he only had 1 target last week. And I just don't really see him breaking out. I think the Bucs are going to stop him pretty much cold in his tracks for the most part. I'm with Corey Davis.
Matt?
Remember what I said last week, right? There are some questions that I don't want anything to do with. I don't want any accountability. I don't want people to play the tape back. There's some questions I just would rather not be involved in. However, I'm a man of the people. I'm going to go with Algier based on what I feel is going to be more volume than what Corey Davis will. And I think the half point normalizes this a little bit. So give me Algier as the best of 2 really rough players. Now, I will say this to Robert Fisher of chess fame. I don't know that maybe that's Bobby Fisher that's come in with a different name.
It is Bobby Fisher, yeah.
Maybe he's playing chess and we're playing checkers. But back to my waiver article, if Rachaad White is on the waiver wire, you could drop either one of these players, get Rachaad White, and I would start him with much more confidence than I would the other 2 guys.
I like it. And again, I want to go back to something you said early on, and it's a kind of a theme from last week as well. Diverting accountability, highly recommended here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. So, you give a hot take, you kind of wipe your hands clean, not really worried about the outcome at that point. I appreciate that.
Next
question. I love it. This is an interesting one. We were just looking at the slot versus wide, right? And I don't want to, dive necessarily too much back into this here, but slot versus wide. But if you go down the list here a little bit, you start figuring out that the Miami Dolphins, right, are a team that you can actually attack through the slot. The question is for the Jets, who is the slot receiver? Corey Davis is certainly more on the outside, but you have Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore there too. So it's not Corey Davis is what I'm getting at. So I also am those elite cornerbacks there for the Dolphins make me nervous. But Bob brings up a good point. Corey Davis is definitely the guy for Zach Wilson. We saw last preseason before they both got hurt and derailed the season, 10 targets in the first preseason game. Another, I think it was a touchdown or 2 in the following game. And then things kind of went off the rails there. So interesting connection, but I'm with you. I'm going to go with the Atlanta running back. I think there's going to be more touches overall, chance to fall in the end zone. The Bucs are the Bucs defense, but Marcus is not going to have another opportunity then to dump down, although it's not really his forte because there's just not other weapons there. So I will also go with the Atlanta rookie. All right, couple more questions here. Sam 1 jumping in. Good morning, Sam. Carr or Kyler at quarterback? This is a single quarterback league. Sam, well done. This is how you do it. Set the scene. Help us out. I appreciate you. Carr or Kyler at quarterback, single quarterback league. See it as a coin flip, but I'm wondering if y'all have any opinion. Love the show. Have a good Sunday. Sam, appreciate you. Love reciprocated. We appreciate you tuning in here nice and early on a Sunday morning. Matt, we'll start with you here. Kyler or Carr, single quarterback league, no funky scoring. My only question with quarterback leagues, with standard league single quarterback, is this a 4-point or a 6-point? 4-point leans heavily to Kyler just because of the rushing, but let's just say it's a standard 6-point touchdowns all around.
I think these are the 2 highest scoring games of the weekend, if you count Monday as the weekend. Kyler against Philly in what could be a shootout, and Carr on Monday night, they're going to have to score to be in the game against Kansas City. For me, I want to go Kyler. It's 4 points. So I want to go Kyler based on the 4 point and based on the fact that game is going to be high scoring. And Carr, I need, what did we talk about last week, right? We need a prove it game, and he hasn't had one yet. I think he's right. Sam one is right. It's a coin flip. So for me, flip the coin. I'll go heads with Kyler. But I don't know that he being Sam can go wrong with the decision unless hindsight is 20/20, and then he won't know until both games are over. But for me, give me Kyler.
I love it. Derek?
Yeah, I agree. This really is a coin flip game, and you really can't go wrong. But I'm going to go tails with Derek Carr. His highest scoring game of the year, in his only game over 300 passing yards, was against a similar defense ranked against the quarterback as the Chiefs have. With that, 6 to 7 red zone targets per game. He had 15 against Tennessee in that game. I like all of the Raiders' weapons. I think this is going to be truly a shootout. I may even bet the over of the 51.5 on this one. I think Carr, shows us what we've been expecting for 4 weeks now. I think he shows it tomorrow night. I'm going Derek Carr.
I like it. And that game against Tennessee on the road in Tennessee was his best QB finish as well. QB 6 on the week 2 weeks ago with 21 fantasy points. Bob, Kyler, Carr. Mute.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm over here losing my jibs. I had too much Isaiah McKenzie in my DFS lineups, and now I'm combing through. And he was low price.
Well done.
It's just not great. That's on me, folks. This is what I'm talking about. This is why you join the Sunday Live Start Sit Show, because we get the updates before everybody else, and you can make those changes on the fly. Let's talk about this one right here. I'm actually going to go Derek Carr versus the Chiefs. Actually, the Chiefs have been very fun for opposing quarterbacks because high-scoring affairs. We saw Tom Brady have a nice bounce back against them last week. Doesn't need to look pretty for it to be good for fantasy. Also, the Eagles have been ferocious on defense. So I'm going to go Kyler. I'm going to go Derek Carr over Kyler. But, Scott, you make a good point in 4-point. Honestly, it almost doesn't even matter. It's probably a wash. So I'd probably still go Carr slightly.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's a gut feeling for me. And unfortunately, when I'm at this, I could go with both these guys. Now, in a vacuum, week to week, it's Kyler 99% of the time over Derek Carr. This particular matchup, the Raiders and the Chiefs have shootouts. It's going to be national TV. It could be fireballs, which would be fun. Mahomes, quick side note. Patrick Mahomes is 4 touchdowns away from tying Troy Aikman, who's going to be on the call Monday night. So I can almost guarantee you that Patrick Mahomes will have at least 4 touchdowns in this game, which is terrible news because I'm going against him in 3 different leagues. Not excited about that. But Mahomes will get his. Therefore, Derek Carr will have to return the favor. Josh Jacobs will be irrelevant once again, and everything will be back to normal. That being said, Derek Carr for me is fine. He's average with some upside. Kyler Murray had 12 rushes total over the first 3 weeks. He had 12 rushes alone last week. So he's getting more healthy. He's running the ball more, right? Rondale Moore is kind of, hit or miss on his health, right? My man Greg Dortch might be coming back to earth. And we'll see what happens with Hollywood Brown. So if he gets locked down by Darius Slay, then I think Kyler Murray is going to run the ball more often. If he does that, that spikes him immediately in fantasy football. I have them back-to-back actually in my rankings. I have Kyler 1 spot ahead. Kyler has been QB 7 3 different times this season. Derek Carr's highest was QB 6. Otherwise, 17, 11, 25. I will take Kyler Murray, especially in a 4-point quarterback league. Bob?
Just to give us a barometer, last year, Derek Carr in both starts against the Kansas City Chiefs threw for 260 yards, 1 touchdown in one and 2 in another. And that Chiefs defense was better. I mean, that was a better Chiefs secondary. So knowing that's kind of like his floor range, you could see a 300-yard, 2-touchdown game from Carr. I do think that's an option. But like you said, though, too, the other thing about that Philadelphia game is that the Eagles are going to put up points against the Cardinals. We know that, too. So maybe there is more shootout appeal in that game as well. But I just think that Carr and the Kansas City Chiefs, the Raiders secondary is just awful. So outside of one cornerback. So I do think from that standpoint, I feel like Carr's a safer play this week.
All right. Quick diversion before we get to Nathan's question here. And Bob, I'm going to start with you because it's your boy Khalil Shakir right on the map here. So I'll let you prep for this one ahead of time. I'm going to go round robin here really quickly. I'm going to make up my own props just because I want to, and I think it'd be kind of fun. Similar quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. Go around the horn. I got a couple different props. I'm just making up off the cuff here. Matt, better chance of throwing for 300 yards, Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts.
Bob?
Kyler Murray.
Derek?
Hurts.
Rushing for 100 or more yards, Matt?
Hurts.
Bob?
Neither. 100 yards rushing from a quarterback?
Yeah, dude. What? I think they both might do
Bob,
it.
there's no accountability. You just pick one.
No. Neither. Absolutely not.
There's no responsibility. Just go ahead. Derek?
No, I don't think either one of them do as well. 60, 65 at the most.
Sky, remember how easy it was when it was just me and you?
Jeez, man.
No.
Most total touchdowns, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray. Matt?
Murray.
Okay. Bob?
I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm just looking at Daniel Jones right now.
Yeah, that's a mistake. Most total touchdowns, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts.
Hurts.
Derek?
Hurts for me as well. I have Murray in one of my leagues. I want him to do well, but I think Hurts has got it.
Got it. And 49ers cover the spread by 3 touchdowns. Love it. All right, let's move on down here. Nathan wants to jump in here. Khalil Shakir with Mac Knox out.
With McKenzie. I think he meant McKenzie.
Love it. Thank you. McKenzie and Knox out or Adam Thielen. So Khalil Shakir with McKenzie and Knox out or Adam Thielen. Bob, we'll kick it off with you.
I'm gonna go Thielen. I'm not into the Khalil Shakir thing. I think it's just gonna be a lot of digs. Maybe he gets sprinkled in. Thielen does have a terrible matchup against Chicago, though. Like we just brought up, Jaylen Johnson is out today, though, so that's good news. But just give me Thielen still.
Derek?
Yeah, Thielen for me as well. I do like the Vikings wide receivers a lot more that Johnson's out. I think that does open it up a little bit for Cousins. And frankly, in that Steelers-Bills game, I think the Bills get up early and start handing the ball to Singletary and Zach Moss even. I think he gets a little bit of run today. So I really don't think there's enough to go around for Shakir.
Go Utes. Matt?
I am with Thielen as well, and I'm going to say this is the 2022 Kirk Cousins coming out game.
Whoa. So coming out for Kirk Cousins is like 350 and 4 or what?
65 and 2 touchdowns.
Oh,
and 2
God.
picks.
Oh, it's horrible. That's not even coming out. That's like showing up and then remembering like you left the oven on and leaving immediately.
Right. That's
like,
Kirk
Cousins,
right?
Never mind.
Remember, Kirk Cousins shows up in a minivan playing Nickelback, right? That's who Kirk Cousins is. But remember, he's got a win against the Packers. He's got a chance to basically end the Bears season already. And I think that he's going to show out today. And I think that it's going to be Jefferson.
Yeah, it's also a basic game, not on primetime, that nobody outside of Minnesota and Chicago will be watching. So it's a perfect opportunity for him to go nuts when no one's paying attention. Yes, Bob.
Yes, hi. So here's a fun fact about Kirk Cousins. Last time he faced a Matt Eberflus defense, he threw for 113 yards. So, yeah,
horrendous.
Not good. Yeah, Matt Eberflus was the defensive coordinator for the Colts. And in 2000, they faced the Colts in that game, 11 for 26, 113 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
So Bob's not feeling the coming out party.
No, not really.
It's like it's the going in party maybe for Kirk Cousins and maybe a Bears upset. You heard it here, folks. I'm going to go with Adam Thielen too, just because I like the guy. I think he's due for a good game. Sam, chiming back in here. Love the input, guys. Good luck in your matchup. Sam, you as well. Thank you again for chiming in. And Nathan as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody jumping back in. We'll take a quick breather here. And Bob, I could use a water break. Would you like to maybe give a shout out to our friends at Good Sports, or would you like me to do it?
Well, that's awkward because you just said you needed a water break. Now I'm going to say,
I do,
you got it.
But I didn't want to. I didn't want to put you on the spot. I'm trying to be nice.
That's awkward. The Giants are on the goal line right now. And by the way, Barkley has not played. He actually hurt his shoulder. Giants just scored a touchdown. Ball game is tied, folks.
Wait, what are you doing? You don't announce it with your voice.
No. I'm sorry. You guys supposed to do the horn. I'm sorry, the horn thing. Right.
Folks, look, it's not a big deal. Bob's new to the program. It's fine. It's just, we have new protocols here. Bob didn't get the HR email that we had. There it is.
Yeah. Well, the Barkley owners, I'm sorry that Barkley hurt his shoulder and it was a goal line carry from, it looks like Gainwell. or Brightwell. Sorry, Gary Brightwell. My apologies.
Oh, love the Gainwell shout out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, please, you and Gainwell.
I knew we get 1 or 2 a year. Love that.
So somebody
anyway.
That means Bob put Gainwell in for Isaiah McKenzie in like 7 leagues.
Nice.
No, it's oh yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're pretty excited for this year. Every time we get a donation, and listen, we're here at Razzball. We're here to answer your start-sit questions all season long. We're going to be doing it, obviously, for free. You guys jump on the live show and everything. But any donation you make to the show via PayPal and or once we get Super Chats going, 10% of that will go to Good Sports. Good Sports is a youth charity organization that donates equipment to underprivileged communities that allow kids to play sports in those communities. So that's an exciting thing. That we have partnered with over the last few years. We donated a couple $100 last year through another channel, so we're excited to do it again this year as well. So if you could just hop over to PayPal, you can actually use the we actually have a couple things up here right now. If you use that QR code at the top of your screen, you can use that to use our PayPal, donate to the show. We'll answer your questions first. If you do donate, you get expedited preference. We will answer your questions right at the top over there as well. Now, Sky, why don't we all take a quick commercial break? We have one. It looks like we have one question from Granville here down at the bottom if you want to hop in there. But after we answer that question, I do have a special guest that's going to hop on for a couple minutes, and we can take a quick break.
Love it. Granville, Houston. We also have another one from Jefferson 23. We'll get to both of those quickly. Good morning. Pick 2 to flex. Josh Reynolds. Oh, man, if nobody knows my history on this program of fantasy stuff, but I just want to throw it out there that I was like Josh Reynolds' biggest fan before nobody cared about him. So shout out to my boy Josh Reynolds. Michael Carter, Hunter Renfrow, half PPR, deep league. Thanks. Again, appreciate all of the back-end knowledge that helps us kind of micro this down. All right, Derek, we'll kick it off with you. Josh Reynolds with pretty much all of the Lions out. We're still waiting to hear back on Amon-Ra St. Brown, I believe. Let me check really quickly.
He's in.
Officially active. Okay,
Yes.
Sorry about that. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is in, so Josh Reynolds is the number 2 there. Michael Carter behind probably Breece Hall, and Hunter Renfrow obviously the number 2, 3, or 4 option, but should be a high-scoring affair for the Raiders there. What's kick it to you, Derek?
Yeah, Renfrow for sure, for all the reasons we talked about before. Even though it's a half PPR, I'm still on Renfrow. And I'm going Reynolds as well, even with St. Brown in there, which I love to hear. I think Reynolds still gets his. You had mentioned Carr is firmly behind Hall for the Jets, and I don't see that changing today. So I'm with the 2 receivers, Reynolds and Renfrow.
I love that. Good choice there. Bob?
2 quick updates, too, before I answer. Xavier Howard, stud cornerback for the Dolphins, is out today. That is good news.
I just repped how dominant they were.
Yeah.
That changes everything with Corey Davis, maybe.
Yeah, so the outside receivers should get a little bump. Mostly you'll probably see Elijah Mitmore and Corey Davis on the outside. So that is good news for that defense. And also, here's another nugget I find interesting today. Isaiah Spiller is now officially a healthy scratch. Sony Michel is your Austin Eckler handcuff. I do believe that based on what we're seeing from game days last week, but also with Spiller being inactive today, I do think that you will get I think Sony Michel is it. If you're looking for a handcuff for Eckler, he's the guy you want. All right, let's jump down to this question. I'm actually going to go with Hunter Renfrow. The Patriots are a slot funnel defense. I think that helps Amon-Ra St. Brown. And wait a second. Not to Lazard, not caught. I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow. I do think that this is going to be a solid game for the Raiders. And I think because Kansas City, we just talked about, lost a lot of points to the slot, I think I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow.
Bob, we got 2 of them here. Hunter Renfrow and?
Oh, jeez. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I'm trusting Carter. I honestly think at this point, Breece Hall is taking over that spot. Jeez, that's a tough one. I'm going to go Josh Reynolds and Hunter Renfrow.
All right. Bob, this is easily the most squirrel episode I've ever been a part of with you. So you can keep it up. It's fine. It's not even negative criticism. It's just an acknowledgement.
It seems like it. I am upset. I just see that Lazard catch one pass.
It's just feedback. I'm sure he will catch one pass. All right, let's jump down here, and Matt, we'll bring you into the fold here. I know you were away just for a second here. We got Josh Reynolds, Michael Carter, Hunter Renfrow. Pick 2 of them, half PPR, deep league.
I'm going to go with Renfrow and Reynolds. And when we're done talking about this, I've got something I'd like to talk about in regards to Reynolds. So if you want me to keep going, I'll muse about that with you.
Do it now.
So how if you're looking at your roster, right? Derek and I actually did this morning. We moved Hollywood Brown to wide receiver, and we moved
Waddle.
Waddle down with him being questionable, right? Now we've got Amon Ra St. Brown, excuse me. What type of receiver do you start him over today based on the fact that they really should be sitting him into the bye week? And but also knowing that Swift is out and they're going to throw the ball 400 times today. Do you have to play Amon Ra St. Brown, or is there a line that you draw with receivers where you say, I start him over these guys, but not these guys, right? So you know that people have him, right? We have a lot of people listening in that have this guy, and they're thinking the exact same thing. Waddle, Tyreek, questionable, but they're in. We're playing them. There's no thought process. But with a flex position, what do you do with this guy?
Yeah. Well, I'll jump in here. So I'm just updating my rankings, and I'm kind of working through it. But I have moved Amon-Ra St. Brown to wide receiver 17. Now, he could end up wide receiver 8 because he could catch 10 passes for 100 yards and a touchdown. He could also see 6 targets and just kind of be more of a decoy. Against the Patriots, it might be a little bit tough, so I'm going to put him somewhere in the middle. But, for example, Chris Olave, Michael Pittman, I'm sorry, Mike Williams, excuse me. T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, those kind of top-tier guys are ahead of him. But you guys just mentioned Jaylen Waddle. I have him one spot ahead of Waddle. St. Brown has an ankle injury. Waddle has a groin injury, so either of those could pop up. But like Christian Kirk, Brandon Cooks, Marquise Brown, Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf, I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown higher than all of them. Does anyone else want to chime in on, or I guess, Bob, you would be the one. Do you want to chime in on this? How do you feel about Amon-Ra St. Brown this week coming back? Right on. Let's move on to the next question here. We got Jefferson23 also has another question. Let's pull it up here. We got dual Bobs. Jefferson23, Gabe Davis, Juju Smith-Schuster, Raheem Mostert, half PPR, flex spot. Let's jump into this here real quick here. Again, Gabe Davis with Xavier Howard out. So I like this. I was thinking Corey Davis. I want to get back to that question later. Gabe Davis, Juju, and Mostert, half PPR flex spot. Derek, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so everything we talked about so far pushes to Gabe Davis or even Juju in that juicy matchup tomorrow night. But I actually like Mostert. I really like Mostert in this spot. He's getting the snaps. He's getting carries now. He's getting consistent targets in the red zone as well. I like Mostert. I like it. Matt?
Gabe Davis, for me, I think it's his 2-touchdown game.
Bob?
Gabe Davis. Just a quick update, too. Jarvis Landry is also out today, along with Michael Thomas. This seems like it's going to be a lot of Chris Olave, but if you're looking for a streamer tight end, Jahan Dotson is an interesting starter this week if you need one against the Seattle secondary that's very susceptible to tight ends. Great chime in there. I was going to mention that as well. Thank you. Gabe Davis for me on that last one. Ryan, good morning. Eagles cornerbacks to shut down Arizona wide receivers today. We talked about a little bit of that with Hollywood and Rondale Moore. I'm debating on who to start between Brown, so Marquise Brown, I assume, Curtis Samuel, and Josh Palmer today. Dodson and Logan Thomas are out today. Standard league. So non-PPR, Marquise Brown, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer. Bob, we'll start with you. Brown, it's AJ Brown, right? We're talking about or Marquise Hollywood. Sorry, Hollywood. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to sit Hollywood for those two guys. So I'm going to stick with him. Maybe Samuel. I guess maybe Samuel. I mean, Samuel's got who are they playing this week? I'm sorry, I'm Tennessee. Tennessee is a slot funnel defense.
Who did Carr have his best game against this year? Tennessee.
Yeah, Barkley's back in and now just broke that. All right, cool. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna go Marquise. I'm gonna go Marquise Brown. That's all. All right. Yeah. All right, Derek.
Yeah, really hard to pass on Brown, especially with all the targets he's getting. However, I think Sky, I think you mentioned it before, or maybe it was Bobby. Like the Commanders this week. I do too. I think the Commanders. We just talked about David Carr in his big week against the Titans. I think Carson Wentz has a good game as well, and I think Samuel is. McLaurin's going to be very popular, but I think Samuel is going to get the volume, and so I wouldn't. I think I would still go with Brown, but if you went with Samuel, I wouldn't argue with it either. In fact, I've got him in my DFS, my primary DFS lineup for that reason.
Matt,
I'm sticking with Hollywood, but Samuel, based on what Derek just said there, I could go with Samuel and not feel bad. But I'm going to add this too. I'm about to sign off because I have to throw my phone and my laptop into the pool based on the fact that the New York Football Giants are about to take the lead on Green Bay. So I brought this out, right? I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm about to go get the bottle of Woodford that would mix nicely with that to numb my Sunday. This is absolutely ridiculous, and I don't know who Bobby has paid off, but
this is ridiculous. I don't even know what's going on, man. This is like the game now. If they win this game, I'm actually okay. I'm in on the season.
This is one of those like season makers on a one quality dub to make the season. Now let's not before we get too ahead of ourselves. Aaron Rodgers is going to have the ball probably twice, but before the end of this game, and the Giants are the Giants. So we'll see what happens.
Does Lazard need so that we can Bobby can at least he needs
2 catches.
Oh, he needs 2 now.
Catches. 2 catches. Yeah.
Sitting at 3.
Oh, Daniel Jones just loves a head hit. Get out of there, bro. All right. So for me, we keep going back and forth, like kind of a handful of you are saying Marquise Brown seems like the go-to guy, but I like Samuel. I'm going to go the other way around. Samuel's been dominant when he's on the field. He's running the ball, which is extra juice. He's just needs to get those touchdowns, but he's getting plenty of targets as well. Let's not forget that Darius Slay embarrassed Justin Jefferson. Like it was a joke. He should have had 7 picks in that game. He ended up with 2 of them, shut down Justin Jefferson. Hollywood Brown is not Justin Jefferson. I actually like Curtis Samuel by quite a bit in this one, especially in the standard league. When you're not looking at PPR, you're looking at yardage, you're looking at touchdowns, and rushing ability for a wide receiver is a cheat code in standard league. So for me, this isn't close. I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel.
And
J-Bone.
I'm changing my answer to Samuel. I did not see standard league.
Let's go, baby.
Yep, Samuel for me.
See, that's how I work life. I just you manipulate people without doing it, like without them knowing. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of boom, Jedi mind tricks. J-Bone has tuned in. J-Bone, good morning. Thank you for joining us here. Flex PPR. So we go from standard to full PPR here. Herbert versus Minnesota with Montgomery. So it's Khalil Herbert versus Minnesota with David Montgomery back in, but maybe limited, or Kareem Hunt versus the Chargers, or Mooney also against Minnesota. Thanks, guys. So full PPR, Khalil Herbert, Kareem Hunt, or Darnell Mooney. This is obviously for a flex position here, full PPR. Bob, will go with you.
Kareem Hunt for me. I think it's pretty easy. I'm not going to trust. I'm always risk averse when it comes to these backfield splits. We don't know what Herbert versus Montgomery is going to look like, and Mooney just hasn't done it yet. The Minnesota Vikings secondary is
all right. They're all right.
They're all right, right? So I mean, I'm going to go Hunt, and Hunt's been solid, so I'm going to go Hunt.
Derek?
Yeah, before I get to my answer, I just wanted to say, I listened to you guys the last couple of weeks, and especially Matt, and everyone's been just really dumping on Fields. All 4 games for the Bears have been against top 10 defenses versus the quarterback. And so we haven't seen Justin Fields yet. And Mooney will eventually come around, but that's not today. No, I'm definitely going with Hunt in his 3 to 4 targets per game versus the Chargers. Easy call for me.
I totally agree, and thank you for putting that perspective in on that game here. Matt is hopefully still with us. It sounds like we have an update. Matt, what's going on?
Shit.
He gone. He gone. He already gave. Here's a rarity. Matt gives the horn and then just bails. Like it was like a
speech. That'll show how committed I am to this show that I horned against Green Bay.
I want a sad horn from Matt. I want like a wah, wah, wah.
Oh, man. God. Well, again, 6 minutes. Aaron Rodgers might have the ball twice. Giants, what is it? Nation, Kingdom, Giants land. What is it? Giants beanstalk or something? Whatever you call your fan base.
Giants trash bin.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're losing by 7 to a trash bin. That's even worse for you. That just hit you right back in the face. So.
Yeah, but that's
Flames. Flames are brewing, folks.
It's based on the euro, so the conversion rate isn't really that thing.
It's getting hot. I'm gonna stick with Kareem Hunt here as well. And actually, Derek, I really like you putting perspective on Justin Fields. If we go back to the draft very quickly, I was A, very confident, B, wanting Justin Fields over Trey Lance. I love Trey Lance. I think he's going to be fine long-term. I know he's got the broken leg now. We got to deal with that, whatever. But I think he's going to be fine long-term. But I wanted Justin Fields coming out of the draft before we saw any NFL action. I like this kid a lot, the talent there. I think the Bears, once again, although they got a new front office and head coach, is just not high-quality football yet. They don't have a lot of talent around him. Darnell Mooney is awesome. So is Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery as well. But I don't think it clicks necessarily this week against the Vikings. So I love the perspective. I think it might be coming down the road here. It might be buy low on all these guys. But Kareem Hunt is, tried and true. And it could be a low-key shootout there. And, Brissett has been checking down quite a bit there. So I do think that I would roll with Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Sky, you said buy low, and that's a great call. Looking at their upcoming schedule, their schedule gets soft after their bye, or around and after their bye, quite noticeably. And so
the Packers are soft right now.
Well, you said it, but no, buy your Bears and stash them. They're going to be helpful later.
Yeah, and you know me. Right, it's Hunt for me because I don't ever recommend that shit Chicago franchise. I'm so mad right now. I don't even know what to do.
Man, Packers are down in London to the Giants, and lots of Bears talk. We should change the subject so we can keep Matt on the program here. There's a bomb out of bounds, probably. Yep. Yikes. All right, folks, we have a couple more minutes here. We're going to chime in for maybe 15, 20. We get those comments coming in. So feel free to drop in the last minute comments for us to jump into. And of course, make sure to subscribe right here to the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. Now, when we have London games, it's not as busy because people are watching the game, but usually we have hundreds of questions we're cycling through. So feel free to jump in with any last minute questions you might have for us so we can get to them before game time. Bob, go ahead.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to give these guys a quick break. We actually have another guy. So, guys, you got 3 minutes. Go stretch your legs, grab a cup of coffee, do whatever. We'll be back in 3. We have a special guest that has buys, sells, and holds for Week 5. Tune in right in. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
With the midterm elections approaching, I'm doing this week's buy, sell, hold from the campaign trail. That's right, I've decided to throw my hat into the ring for Senate, and Congress, and governor, and mayor, and student body president. I figure I only need to win one, just like all those 0-4 fantasy football teams out there that didn't draft based on the advice of a cartoon donkey. By Joe Mixon. Dearest citizens of City Name, you are the cogs that make City Name run. Wait, are we talking about clogs? Hey, who runs in clogs? The Dutch? Joe Mixon has looked like he's been running in clogs through 4 weeks of the season. The entire Bengals offense seems to be plodding through some post-Super Bowl blues. But it's only a matter of time before this sleeping giant wakes up. Buy Mixon while the window is still open. Sell Dalvin Cook. My opponent thinks your tax money should be going towards cleaning up parks. But look at this. She can't even clean up her own purse. Black licorice, hard candy this, hard candy that. Senator Clara Warnick, are you a sugar addict? Those were treats for my sweet little disabled grandchildren. Unlike my opponent, Dalvin Cook isn't exactly a fraud. but he does have a shoulder injury, which was never dealt with over the offseason and will only continue to get worse with time. He'll try to play through it, but the risk of missing a big chunk of the season is very real. Take this opportunity to unload him on one of your enemies while you still can. Hold. Marquise Brown. There's no scandal here. I was shaking hands and kissing babies. How was I supposed to know that was a grown man in a diaper? Don't wear a diaper if you don't want to get kissed. Donkey, what do you think about Marquise Brown? Thank you, reporter I've never met before. DeAndre Hopkins will return from his suspension in Week 7. Some fantasy players might look to sell Marquise Brown before Hopkins returns to steal the alpha share of targets in Arizona. But Hopkins may actually draw away the defensive attention, opening things up for his counterpart. I'd urge owners to hold tight. Brown's role is secured. You paid me to get in this diaper. No more questions.
I love it. That was incredibly entertaining. Shouts out to the boss there, DT, for putting a very entertaining show together for some buy lows and sell highs. I've got a couple myself there that you can check out my free article every single Tuesday, Wednesday, dropping on the article as well. Matt, are you having breakfast tea or are you pouring one out for the Packers? What exactly are you doing over there, bud? Oh, you're on mute. Hold on a second. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Anyway, I can't believe Lazard just dropped that pass. Like, what are we doing here? I can't. I can't. I honestly,
Bob, unmute Matt here so we can get him back in.
There you go, Matt. You were alive to speak
Matt,
your piece.
You were on mute there. Sorry, bud.
All I'm saying is, again, I'm not sponsored, but I am a fan, and I'm willing to drink this if I have to. And it's getting to the point where I feel it's almost necessary.
Yeah,
so
I hear you.
Here, I don't have the TV on, but I see it's 3rd and 2. Rodgers is going to throw a deep pass instead of just get the first down.
No, he just hold on. Oh, hit it, Matt. Oh, not quite. He dropped it.
He didn't drop it. I'm gonna play ahead of you.
Okay, so
I can predict it. Hey, Sky, you want to start making bets?
Let's do it. Yeah,
I'll get in on that as well.
I'm gonna go with it. Alan Lazard reception on the next play. What do you think?
I'm gonna have to push on that one.
Push.
I'm gonna say Dobbs.
Dobbs. All right, fair. All right, let's go. Let's jump in here real quick. Here, Corbin Boyd has been dealing with all of our.
That's on the country feed. What happened?
No, here we go. Here, hold on.
36. 3rd and 2 at the 36.
Actually,
Derek's ahead.
Derek's a page ahead.
Give me a horn.
Up ahead of Sky. Sky's last.
All right, Bob. Go ahead and report it. Report it, Bob. Go ahead. Break
the
news.
Well, no, it's a push right now. Honestly, we need one more catch, though. We still need more. We have officially pushed the bet. Now we need one more catch from Lazard to hit the bet, and we'd be good to
go. A touchdown catch would just be.
Yeah, that would work for me.
Yep, that most likely will be the case. Let's get here to Corbin Boyd, who somehow is still tuning into our shenanigans here and dealing with the show just to get the answer. And you know what? I have this exact same question in one of my leagues, Corbin, so I appreciate that. Streaming tight ends, I got Big Patty Fry and David Njoku. Don't know if it's a half or a full PPR league, so we always divert to half if we don't have that case. Derek, we'll go to you here. So you're streaming tight ends. You're not happy with Kyle Pitts. You drafted him with like your 2nd, 3rd pick. You're upset. You went to the waivers. You picked up Freiermuth. You're like, he's pretty good, but I need some backup too just in case. Bam, now I got David Njoku. Uh-oh, I got 2 guys who are exactly the same. What do I do? Derek, we'll go to you first.
Well, he is pretty good, but we just don't know what we're going to get from Kenny Pickett. Is he going to run? Is he going to throw? Is he going to have any time in Buffalo to shut them down? I'm not a big Njoku fan, but I really got to lean that way. I like the matchup a little better versus the Chargers. I think Brissett's going to throw. I think Njoku has pretty good chemistry there. I'm going Njoku.
Matt?
I don't want to pick either one.
Bob? Matt's going with the push. He's going with the push on the question. Bob,
no, I think you get this. I bet you they end up within a point of each other at the end of the week. But for me, right, I'll go Freiermuth.
Deal. Love it. Bob?
I'm the meme right now with the old lady trying to explain that that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Yeah, I'm going to go Njoku as well. I don't think Buffalo is I know they're banged up. They are. Their secondary is really banged up. They're missing both their starting safeties. But I think Njoku has become he's a legit player now. Absolutely. He's not just a streamer tight end anymore. And I think he's really filled in as the number 2 behind Amari Cooper. And I think the Chargers are going to put up points. And I don't think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So I do like Njoku this week over Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm just doing some quick research here. 5 targets in week 2, 10 targets in week 3, 7 targets last week. Only 1 touchdown on the season, but when he had that touchdown against Pittsburgh, he was number 2 tight end 2 weeks ago. So for me, it's David Njoku. I love Pat Freiermuth, but I'm gonna agree with Derek. I'm just not 100% sure what Kenny Pickett's going to give. Now you could have the rookies lean on the tight end, yada yada. My man Matt Milano, who's super duper underrated as a middle linebacker in the NFL. The dude's an animal. One of the best coverage linebackers in all of football, and dominates tight ends. So could any tight end catch 4 for 40 and a touchdown and be top 10? Obviously. But if I'm going to bank on it with more opportunity, more yardage, chance of a bigger play in what should be a shootout versus potentially the Steelers getting boat raced immediately in this game, I'm going to go David Njoku here as well. Best of luck, Corbin. Once again, folks, please make sure to chime in here to the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show all week long. Now, this show in particular is kind of intentionally unprofessional and off the rails because it's 7 a.m. for Bob and I, and we're going ham, and it is what it is, no big deal, but we get it done. The rest of the week, though, all of us are putting in many hours behind the scenes, and, of course, that show each particular week that we put in waiver articles, buy lows, sell highs, the slot versus wide articles and shows, everything else you want to get into, we have right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube all week long. We also have the podcast version of each of those episodes. So for me, I'm a big podcaster. I work all day. I can't be watching YouTube personally. So for me, I can actually put in a podcast while I work, and I can get the same content audibly instead of visually. So those of you that are podcasters as well, when you're on the go, you can download the Razzball Fantasy Football podcast show. Please leave us a rate and review. Of course, 5-star reviews is what we're after, but we want you to be honest. If you have a 3-star review or a 2-star review or whatever, please let us know why. And we, of course, want that feedback so that we can have the best show possible for you moving forward. So leave us a subscribe here. You can find Razzball everywhere else at Razzball and at Razzball Fantasy. And, of course, you can go around the horn here. Follow all 4 of us on Twitter. We would much appreciate your support there. Benjamin Dawson has tuned in. Benjamin, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Hey, y'all. Thinking about DJ Moore or Raheem Mostert in half PPR. Gentlemen, can you believe this is a question that we're dealing with in week 5 here? DJ Moore, guaranteed, bona fide, top 12, 1,400 yards. Baker Mayfield loves the slot. Got to have more than 6 touchdowns, no problem. Raheem Mostert, he's washed, he's hurt, yada, yada. Now we're comparing both of them, half PPR. Yikes. Bob, we'll start with you.
Yeah, let me just pull up, let's see if Lazard catches a pass here. Nope. And he threw a pick instead. Oh, he dropped it. Okay. All right. Sorry, folks. Giants game's going on right now. No, I want to just take a look really quick about Carolina has got San Francisco. Yikes. That's not good.
He's getting smoked. There's no chance.
The Jets' run defense actually has not been that bad this year. But I'm going to go Mostert here. This is the biggest problem. We talk about continuity every offseason. Like, people think they know what's going to happen. We really don't. And there's a new offensive coordinator with Ben McAdoo, new quarterback with Baker Mayfield, and everybody just started saying that Baker's the best quarterback we've ever seen with DJ Moore. Well, sure enough, it didn't work out. I don't think San Francisco is the matchup you want to take a shot on that to change. So I'm actually going to go Mostert, who's been getting more work. Oh, that's game. Blouses. Giants, baby. Let's go. All right. Yeah,
Derek, we'll go to you.
Yeah, so was Baker Mayfield still under center for the Panthers?
Unfortunately, he is.
Are they still playing the Niners?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I'm with Mostert.
Yep, you and Mostert earlier, too. And, Bob, Can I get a? I'm going to give Matt just a second to gather his thoughts here before we go.
I can't believe we beat the Packers.
You know that pass was intended for Lazard too. You know?
I know. Trust me, it never works out for me all the way around. See, this is a good example. I'd rather win my player comp. So Matt, I am upset with you as well. But I'll take the push, I guess. But I am also emotionally upset. I'm emotionally torn. We got the victory, but man, that was going to Lazard and
2 tip passes in a row. Bob, quick question. I just want to get some clarity here. Maybe you can research this, Wikipedia, Google, Ask Jeeves. I'm not sure exactly where you find all of your data these days, but is Sam Darnold, he seems like a borderline ginge, and I'm just not 100% sure. Is he just maybe like amber blonde? Okay, sorry. I didn't want to jump the gun on that. I just thought maybe it was another opportunity. But yes, Baker Mayfield is under center. The Niners are going to roll him by 30, so I would not go with DJ Moore personally. Matt, if you'd like to be with us, you're welcome to. If not, feel free, and we appreciated your service today. There it is. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Little breakfast syrup for Matt up there on the morning. Again, not a sponsor, but
soon to be.
I love that sound sounded good. That was like a beautiful pop. Oh man.
There it is.
Oh, the 4-1 Giants. Who would have thought? Not this guy. This guy.
Get the hell out of here.
And so we can focus on something other than my DUI breath and the and the 3-2 shit ass Green Bay Packers. Give me Raheem Mostert all day. The show is the absolute worst. My whole Sunday is ruined.
I know, it's terrible. You know what the crazy?
I'm not laughing at you, man. I'm laughing I'm laughing in the sphere here.
Remember we brought up I said we may have a trade thing to discuss.
Benjamin, Raheem Mostert all the way around. Let's hope DJ Moore goes off on your bench so you can start him later, but we'll go Raheem Mostert. Sorry for the ridiculous banter here. Appreciate you. Appreciate you as well. Thank you very much and best of luck. Matt, go ahead.
So Derek and I, the leagues we're in, and especially, fantasy football, there's not a lot of trades every year. You really have to work your way. Baseball, there's trades all the time. In football, it's a little bit harder, but we went with the tried and true strategy of sell high, buy low. And I want your thoughts on, after seeing what Higbee did last week, right? The guy was an absolute machine, even though he didn't find the end zone. Higbee and CEH with his 5 touchdowns and his 43 snaps last week, we dealt both of them for Joe Mixon.
Give it to me one more time.
CEH and Higbee for a guy that had trash at tight end and his running backs were significantly underperforming. We dealt those 2 for Joe Mixon.
That's a win. That's a win. And I'm not sure, we got to get that donkey needs to get on the show here soon, but we just saw our commercial break there. And I believe Joe Mixon was a buy.
He was the buy. Yes.
It was the buy on the campaign trail, which is important. So it sounds like everybody is liking that. Air horn, go ahead. Give it to me.
And by the way, I'm not even going to watch the live feed of the last minute too. So I hope the game's over, and I hope that the fans get dysentery from bad British hot dogs.
Dysentery. Okay.
Hold on. Wait. Now I know what you mean, and that was obviously a cruel jab at our friends across the pond. But as an Oregonian, Matt, I do appreciate the Oregon Trail shout out there. Nothing worse than trying to get your oxen across the river and half your family goes down to dysentery. It was like, man, that was really tough for me in 5th grade. That was a rough afternoon for me when I would just lose 100%. A whole carriage to dysentery. Like, oh man, I apologize.
But obviously Lewis and Clark came from money because they did not get dysentery.
Obviously. Well, don't get me started on how rigged everything in the planet is. All right, folks, before we get too off the handles, I think we're going to sign off in about 4 minutes. The gents and I need to gather our thoughts. I need to have I don't drink liquor, but I'll have something exciting to get the fire rolling. Boom, Matt, you can have another one for me, my man. Appreciate it. We got a few more minutes here. If you have any last minute start sits, we will blast them out. Any trade questions or advice you're looking for right now heading into week 5. And again, folks, we do have bye weeks coming up. This is very important. I always tend to look ahead on my week schedule by a week or two with buys coming up. Streaming quarterbacks, streaming tight ends, streaming defenses, streaming kickers are the automatics for me. But when you're looking at, let's say, a Joe Mixon for CEH and Higbee, if Joe Mixon has a bye week next week, or Tyler Higbee or CEH have a bye week next week, that could be a differential in when I move them or I don't. If they have a bye week coming up right away, I may not do that. So for me, I would set to wait. So while we wait for everybody here to chime in on the last minute questions here, we're going to go around the horn and we're going to leave you with some of our favorite starts and sits of the week. Let's just do starts of the week here as we go. Excuse me. Got a little whiskey in my esophagus there. All right. So we're just looking for one player that's a start of the week. And let's say in like basic consensus rankings, we're staying out of the top 10 of any position, right?
Wow.
Yeah, let's say out of the top 10. I mean, all those guys are being played. Let's give a little more like that 11 to 35, 40 deep sleeper range, who's somebody you're really after this week. We'll go with starts first. Matt, we'll kick it off with you, and let's make it, somewhat quick here. We'll go quarterback, and we'll go around the horn, and then we'll do running back around the horn, yada, yada. And if you guys want to do a couple sits, we can do that as well. Again, anybody who wants to chime in on a last-minute starter sit question in the next few minutes, feel free. Otherwise, Matt, I'll turn it over to you. Who's your quarterback start of the week outside of the top 10?
With Amon-Ra in, give me Jared Goff.
Fire last week. Easily the number one last week. He was absolutely flames. I love that pick. Bob?
Oh, man.
And you can't say Russell Wilson. Sorry.
Daniel Johnson, I'll unplug my laptop.
Yeah, I was going to say Tom Brady, but you said not a top 10 guy. So honestly, I'm going to go Ryan Tannehill, Tennessee Titans versus the Commanders. I do like some type of level of shootout there, so I'm going to go Ryan Tannehill.
Nice. I like that one. Derek?
Yeah, I'm in the same game with Bobby. I like both Tannehill and Wentz. So since he went Tannehill, I'll go Wentz.
I love it. I'm going to go T-Law with a big bounce back. He played the last two.
Wait a minute. Wentz is a ginger.
He's not really. He's like
yes, Wentz, Cooper Rush, and Dalton. Wentz is a ginger. Look at his beard photos.
Yeah, okay. Beard gingers are like frowned upon in our culture. Like they are like if you don't have it on top.
Bob, I need something today. I need a win. I need some win today.
Bob, just give it to him. Bob,
I'm kicking a man while he's down. No bearded gingers.
Oh man, yeah. So that is true. A good friend of mine, very blonde on top, ginger beard. Yukon Cornelius. Not sure what happened. I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence here. Week 2 versus the Colts, QB 12. 2 weeks ago versus the Chargers, decent defense. QB number 4 on the week. Last week, he played a buzzsaw in Philly, arguably the best defense all around in the football right now, and he was QB 30. He's playing Houston this week, a common opponent. I like Trevor Lawrence to have a nice streamable game this week. Let's go to running backs here. Derek, I'll kick it off with you for the running back position. Again, let's try to get out of that top 10, top 12 consensus range. Who is a streamer for you?
All right. I love James Robinson, but he's in there for me. So I'm going to go Devin Singletary. I really think that the game plan, the game flow is going to really feed Singletary today. I
like it. Bob?
Let's see. Outside the top consensus 12, who are we feeling here today? I do really like the Patriots running backs. I like Harris and Stevenson this week against Detroit. I would like to get both of them in my lineups this week.
Matt?
Number two worst rush defense is Detroit, Bob. So both picks are solid. Give me Rashad White.
You're on the Rashad White train, man.
You're a driver.
And I dig it. I'm just saying, like, you're going hard on that. That's good.
Now, do we trust the train? Because he did say he's taking a sip of his DUI. So is he a drunk driving the train?
No.
Because I don't know if I want to be on that train if he's drunk on the train.
Well, he's been drunk all week, if that's the case, because that's all the name I've heard all week.
Same. Right. And first of all, of course, kids and the children in the audience watching today, we do not condone drinking and certainly not drinking and driving. Also, I don't want to joke about DUIs and those kind of things that are very serious. However, if we're just taking facts, if he's a trained conductor, it's automatic. It's on the track. Like it's much easier to do. I'm not saying trained conductors have drinking problems, but if you were to operate a motor vehicle, the train might be the best option there. I'm going to go with my boy Jeff Wilson, who's been absolutely on fire, filling in for Elijah Mitchell, going up against a sad Carolina defense. And Wilson has 17 touches and 94 total yards on average since he has taken over. So for me, it's Jeff Wilson. Before we get to the wide receivers, we do have Granville coming back. Thank you for a round 2 here. I know it's like throwing darts, but could you just suggest a trade target, some candidates for Michael Carter? What type of player are you looking to get in a half PPR league? Matt and I did our trade target article, and we did the waivers as well, and we brought up Breece Hall. I said to go get Breece Hall, and Matt quickly was like, I don't know if you even can anymore, right? So it could be a little bit tough. Bob, we'll kick it off with you here. Who is a player that you're looking to maybe move Michael Carter forward to get back in return?
Gainville, I think the first thing you got to do is go look at the Breece Hall's owners roster and send us his bench players, and then we'll answer this question. Maybe send us entire roster, because I think the only team that will want Michael Carter is that Breece Hall owner to handcuff Hall.
Fair.
So do that right now. We'll jump back into our starts of the week for the wide receivers. Put in the comments the whole lineup. Give us the starters, and maybe we'll look for a 2-for-1, 1-for-2, whatever. But give us the roster of the Breece Hall owner.
And at least notable players. Go ahead.
And Granville, have him send his roster as well.
Yeah, exactly. Send us everything. Send us it all.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. And sorry for the extra work there, Granville, but it really does help us, because a player like Michael Carter is not super attractive on his own. But if you can go to a Breece Hall or maybe a package for something else, that would be great. I had Michael Carter as a sell high in week 2 when he had the big game before Breece Hall. So I've already gotten rid of Michael Carter weeks ago. If you're still holding on to him, it might be a little tough. So, Bob, I appreciate the suggestion. Let's get into our starts at wide receiver. We'll do tight ends as well, and hopefully Granville's back to us at that point here. Matt, we'll start with you on this one. Start of the week here, or just a player that you really like at the wide receiver position, again, outside of that top 12 consensus wide receivers. Who you got for us?
Tyler Lockett.
Oh, my goodness. Is he still playing? He's on the Seahawks, right?
He is.
Cool. Tyler Lockett, love it. Haven't heard his name, I think, in at least a year.
Go look at his stats for this year. You might be surprised.
I'm doing that right now. Bob, go ahead.
Pretty good. Yeah, he's been pretty good. Yeah.
He just needs a score.
Yep.
11 targets, 8 targets, 9 for 107, 9 for 76, 6 for 91, no touchdowns. He hasn't been higher than wide receiver. Let me do PPR quick. Wide receiver 16 on the season, so he's kind of middle of the pack there. I like it. Marshawn Lattimore should be on DK. Hopefully they don't fight each other, but Tyler Lockett could have a nice little sneak attack game. Good call there. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the two of this week is Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks a little bit higher, well-known. I like him in the lineups, but if you're looking for more of a dart throw, it's Robert Woods for me. I like his matchup this week against the Washington Commanders. Now it's a Tannehill Robert Woods stack, so you know it's going downhill from here.
Down Tannehill? Okay, sorry. Derek, go ahead.
All right, got 2 for you. Michael Gallup. Rams are really kind of weak at wide receiver. If Rush has any opportunity to open it up, I think Michael Gallup is going to benefit. My really deep wide receiver play is Marquez Callaway. He gets all of Michael Thomas's snaps. Last week he had 55 snaps, where he only had about 15 a game for the previous 3. So I think he's a really interesting sleeper, Marquez Callaway.
I love that. Bob, is it too late for me to continue to pick Alec Pierce that I called out the other night? As of right now, the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football, my boy Alec Pierce. You like that one? You're welcome.
Through two games.
You're well. Hey, number 1 on the. I'm going to screenshot it. Number 1 on the books. For me, it's going to be Curtis Samuel. I repped him earlier in the show here. Curtis Samuel, I think, is going to have a nice game against Tennessee. So he is my wide receiver. Granville is dumping in here. He has some players. I think he's going to give us some roster juice. So let's do tight ends quick, and then we'll jump back into that trade question. Granville, again, appreciate you doing it. Guys, if you want to look in the chat real quick and get your head around his trade question when it's not your turn. We can expedite that a little bit, but let's go in here to the starts of the week at the tight end position. Again, let's make it outside of the 10-minute or the top 10. I got to get Logan Thomas out of there. Yikes, that's too bad. Okay, outside the top 10. So we're deep streaming here. Bob, we'll go with you first as the tight end guru.
We're talking about. Yeah, I'm going to go Juwan Johnson. I talked about it a little bit earlier today. I like the fact that no Landry, no Michael Thomas in this matchup. Seattle's been very susceptible to the tight end position, so I do like Juwan Johnson, who did get a lot of routes last week. So I'm going to go Juwan Johnson as my dart throw tight end start of the week.
Derek?
Tyler Conklin. He might be borderline top 10, top 12. I may even offer up Hunter Henry too. I think we mentioned, we're not really sure what we're going to get from Bailey Zapp, but if he has a safety blanket, it's going to be Hunter Henry.
I like it. All right, Matt?
Hayden Hurst.
Ooh, Hayden Hurst sighting. I like that very much. All right, I'm going to go with Taysom Hill. He has the most passing touchdowns for any tight end since 2017. I'm kidding, obviously. Let's go with Will Dissly. He has not dropped a pass. He's been targeted 3, 5, 7, 11 times this year. He has 11 receptions and 3 touchdowns. So super duper efficient. He's not going to get big yardage, but he's scored in 3 of the last 4. Marshawn Lattimore and DK go at it. And if they can't get the run game going against a stout offense, it might be Will Dissly time. So for me, he's a good streamer to look at. All right. Granville has come in with his questions. I'm going to go to Bing Miller first. It's coming down to the last minute. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown on IR, but he's playing. Do I activate him?
I get it.
Do I activate him, or should he replace Hunt, Gabe Davis, Godwin in half PPR leagues? I think I'm just going to throw this out there. In league settings, it might be an issue that you can't, if he's active on your IR slot, I don't think you can make roster adjustments in most leagues. So this might be an issue here. I personally would play Godwin over him. The other 2 guys, I would play Amon-Ra St. Brown over. But this might just be a technicality where I'm not sure you can even make a move unless you drop a player. And I'm not going to tell you to drop any of these guys. And I don't know who else you have on your roster. So that might be a technicality. In a vacuum, though, do you want Amon-Ra St. Brown over these other guys, Derek?
Yes, I would. Same as you. I would play Godwin over him, but otherwise I'd play St. Brown.
Okay. Matt?
Yep, I'm in the same boat. I agree.
Baba?
Godwin.
All right. Good luck, Bing. Okay, Granville, let's knock this out here. This is going to be our last question. We are going to sign off. We got to set our rosters as well, and it has been an eventful morning, to say the least. I want to make sure that Matt gets something in his tummy. I would hate to, drinking on an empty stomach is not something any of us have done since high school, so let's make sure we don't make that mistake too early in the morning here. All right, so we got a lot going on here, boys. Once again, let me recap here. So Michael Carter, we're trying to move in a half PPR league. Let's make sure we're giving proper advice here. So Granville, the opponent has, so the trade target, I guess, the team that has Breece Hall has McLaurin, Dobbs, Mixon, Breece Hall, Kelsey, Harris, Lockett, Nico, and Godwin, Higbee, and Brian Robinson. He has Cooks, Pittman, Dameon Pierce, Connor, Jonathan Taylor, Goddard, Renfro, Reynolds, and Michael Carter and Dotson. So unfortunately, a couple of those guys are out. Obviously, Dotson's out. Pittman already played. Jonathan Taylor's out this week. And Reynolds will probably be irrelevant-ish in the next couple of weeks. So you're trying to move Michael Carter onto this team to get somebody back.
I've got his deal already.
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
So you're going to have to trade a name to get a name. Right? James Conner is a name, but he's not going to score 18 touchdowns. That's the only reason he's a name right now. Let's be honest. He's not as good as 18 touchdown James Conner. So you package Conner and Carter, and you ask in return Mixon and let him choose the second player.
You think you're going to pull that off?
No.
Okay, so I knew you would say that. I knew you would say that. So then go after Dobbs and Harris or Lockett and Harris.
So just looking at roster construction, he's got Jonathan Taylor eventually, but who knows how that's going to go, and that could be a re-injury, right? And then he's got Damian Pierce, who's obviously playing very well. But he's got pretty much two. If he gets rid of Carter and Connor, he's got two running backs. So we want a running back in return. But Mixon might be a tough one to grab there, and he's got a couple wide receivers. But I personally would like maybe Carter and Connor for maybe Godwin and like Brian Robinson, because Brian Robinson hasn't played yet. That would be something I'd be more interested in. Brian Robinson, I think, is going to be good.
Maybe the plan is Brian Robinson doesn't do a lot this week, and then he goes after him, and it's a cheaper
That's
price.
what you're hoping for sure.
Yeah.
Bob?
And I would try. So my thought process is there's another way to look at this too. Maybe we try to get Breece Hall. Maybe we have the handcuff. We can go get Breece Hall. I think the best trade is after a slow game this week, go get Dobbs. I think Romeo Dobbs is a containable player in this deal. He has
two deep bombs that they missed. Yeah. They just didn't connect on, but he could have a huge game.
So maybe you can convince him to give you Dobbs there. If Robinson has a slow week, I think that makes a lot of sense too. But my other thought process, maybe we should try to get. He only has, like we just talked about, Pierce, Connor, Taylor. Maybe the deal is just a flip Connor for Breece Hall, and we do that. I mean, personally, I love Connor.
That seems fair.
I think Connor, in my opinion, is going to be really good rest of season. He's had the fifth toughest run game schedule in our adjusted line yards metric. And he actually is top 5 in the rest of season variance. So rest of season versus early season, he's had a much softer schedule. So I'm not off James Conner in any way, but I think Breece Hall is going to be special. So maybe a Connor Hall flip might make sense. And now you have the handcuff ready to go. So I think I would go after Dobbs first, then Brian Robinson as well. If he doesn't want to balk at that, maybe you say, hey, would you give me James Conner? Would you do Connor for Hall? Or even, I think that's tough too. I don't know if he's going to do that, but yeah, that would be my suggestion is Dobbs first, then Brian Robinson.
Derek?
Yeah, so I would look at potentially, and I hate to get into the New England backfield, but I would look towards Harris would be probably my target, my running back target, with Connor, and after Renfro goes off tomorrow night, Carter and Renfro for Harris, and maybe throw in Nico Hardman. I think Nico has some value later this season. I don't think he's really worth much right now. So Harris and Nico would be my targets, and Carter and Renfro might be the guys that I'd try to go after. There
you go. I would like to get Chris Godwin if I can. I would want to.
Maybe Pittman's the good sell low guy from his roster. Name value.
Sorry, one thing. Do not offer any trades. Get his opinion first. Like, don't even offer him anything. Just be like, hey, I'm interested in trading you Michael Carter to handcuff Breece Hall. Would you have any interest? Which player would you be willing? And see what he's willing to say first. And then start opening it up from there. Don't just ask for players and offer a trade. Always ask the other team. Let them set the market first, because he might say, I have no interest in Michael Carter at all. And then it's kind of moot. Then you're going to be showing them trade. So maybe it's a 2-for-1 right off the bat. So you don't want to taint the trade negotiations by offering him a trade that, I don't want to say insults him because it's fantasy football, but turns him off to continuing dialogue. So tell him you have Michael Carter. You're interested in giving him his handcuff for Breece Hall. See what he says back. And then we're here next week and we can talk through it again. All good.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
we do have one last one.
Time to buy handcuff running backs too. You could sell that logic as well.
Absolutely. Granville, we hope we're beneficial. We are getting up to game time though, so I want to make sure we get one last question and then we get out of here. So best of luck with that trade. Appreciate everyone else tuning in here. Forseti comes in at the nick of time here. Start 2, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Curtis Samuel, Corey Davis, standard, non-PPR league. McLaurin, Wilson, Samuel, Corey Davis. Derek?
Samuel and Davis.
Matt?
Both of the Commanders.
Wow.
Both of the Commanders.
So Bob? I'm sorry. I'm just going to do, Sky, you go first. I'm just looking up something real quick.
Yeah. Oh, man. I want it to be Garrett Wilson, but I just am not excited about Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson yet. So I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel. Oh, God. I mean, 2 Jets, 2 Commanders. What am I doing here? You know what? I just lied to myself. I'm going to go with Samuel and Wilson.
Yes.
I don't trust Corey Davis, and I don't trust Terry McLaurin. So
Yes,
Samuel and
you do.
Wilson.
You text me in about 4 hours and tell me how wrong the McLaurin sit was.
I'm ready.
And you know why? Why it's the wrong move is because we're playing against him today, and he's going to go balls.
Yeah.
If we know anything by watching the Giants win, my fantasy teams are going to lose.
Now that's 3 Buckeyes, correct?
Hey, don't drag me down into your misery, man.
three Buckeyes there. McLaurin, Wilson, Samuel. All right, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just looking this up because PFF does a cool thing where they do pre-position for cornerback and wide receiver. Who was the guy who's impacted most by Xavier Howard being out today? And it looks like it's Elijah Moore, slightly ahead of Corey Davis. So it's going to impact those 2 guys the most. Garrett Wilson actually surprisingly plays a lot in the slot. So I'm just going to flip over to my slot versus wide metric, because I want to see quickly what the deal is with the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are out wide. So I actually do think give me Corey Davis and Terry McLaurin.
Oh, God. We literally just had 4 different answers. That was horrible. Forsetti, best of luck. Best of luck to everybody here on the program. Thank you so much for tuning into us on a Sunday morning. I know it was kind of bonkers here with the Sunday London game going on. Best of luck to everybody. Tune in every single Sunday morning here to the Razzball Fantasy Football Start-Sit Show every single Sunday morning, 3 hours before kickoff. And, of course, all week long, tune into our program. You can catch a fresh episode with many different faces and all of our great analysts right here at Razzball Fantasy Football. All of our articles are also at razzball.com. Check those out. Follow all of us on Twitter. Follow Razzball as well, at Razzball and at Razzball Fantasy. Then, of course, download the podcast. Also, we're on the go, Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. Leave us a rate and review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast as well. Gentlemen, we'll go around the horn very quickly. Any last thoughts on the day? Derek, we'll start with you. Thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
Yeah, love being here. Thanks, guys. Dallas Goedert has a huge game today.
Ooh, I like that. All right, Bob.
I can't believe you just said that. No, I just can't believe
you just
said
took him
that.
out.
Because,
he just took him
no,
out.
I had Goddard. Goddard's been the guy I wanted to get in all my DFS lineups this week, and you just said that, and I hate you so much now.
He's in mine. He's in mine.
All right, that just
Bob's on
my
tilt.
mind.
Bob's on tilt.
With Jalen Hurts, by the way.
Dang. All right, that's dope. I like that. Oh shit. Okay. Well, that's cool. I have him in 6 of 17 lineups, so I think that's all right. But damn, dude, good for you. God bless you, Derek. Come back anytime. Come back anytime. I love that shit. That was great. Yeah. So another thing I want to say today too is take advantage of your ins and outs. So if a player on your roster is out today and you have IR spots, plug them into the IR. Pick up a handcuff. Pick up a backup running back. Take shots like that, because utilize those IR spots to your advantage, because if a player goes down, you just picked up a handcuff before waivers hit. So utilize those guys in and out of your lineup. So we would really appreciate that. We have another question, Sky. Go for it.
Braden Powell, very quickly, Wilson or Pierce? This is awesome. You drafted these guys late, but now they're top 2 running backs here. I think Wilson has a big game, but Pierce has been on fire. Derek?
Pierce.
Matt?
Wilson, but I prefer Pierce.
Bob?
Pierce.
Love it. Best of luck, Braden. Matt, any final thoughts, my man?
Yeah, I am out next Sunday, Parents Weekend at my daughter's college, so I will be in South Florida helping her celebrate that. I say one more time, if you have 9 minutes to get Rachaad White in your lineup, do it. And for everybody that needs to look for this app while I'm gone, go find it, because I won't be here to give it to you. And final thought, football's stupid.
Nice. Nice. I like that.
I appreciate that. And here we go. Braden, is London worth the start? Absolutely. There's nobody else in Atlanta. Yes, the Buccaneers are tough, but start London if you can. We don't have the other options. Go for it. Folks, that's all the time we have for you. I hope you enjoyed the London game and our shenanigans. This morning is a quadfecta. This is a first 4 full show quadfecta. That was a lot of fun, boys. Appreciate you. Make sure to go visit all of us on Twitter. You can find me, Sky Guasco, SkyGuasco, Matt Styles at Styles08, Bob Lamarco, the captain of the ship here at Bobby Lamarco, and of course Derek as well at Derek_Favret. Make sure to go check everybody out. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Best of luck. And if any of our calls go awry for you, We apologize ahead of time, and please make sure to DM Matt Stiles directly with your commentary. We'll catch you next week, everybody. Happy Football Sunday.